This is your host, Daryl Brooks. I'm here with Dr. Steve Martino, and he's been on the show a few times in the past couple years. And so today is a discussion where we talk about the coronavirus, and you all know about it if you've been watching the news. And so Steve is going to talk about his outlook about what is happening and talk about his book about the new reality that discusses this. And so, Steve, tell us about you, who you are.
Well, I'm a physician. I'm a neurologist, also a writer. I do a lot of work on different type of diseases, dementia, certain things like Alzheimer's. I deal with a lot of patients with different viruses. I go to hospitals right now that have patients with coronavirus in it, and some of my patients have already been screened for it. So our hospitals right now have given us the warnings of how to see a patient with coronavirus, how to treat a patient with coronavirus, and we're seeing the restrictions for these patients and how to get in the hospital go up. So it's no joke. The hospital and the state are making it very a serious condition. I'm not sure if it warrants that seriousness right now, but they've made it a level where since the pandemic, they want everyone to take full precautions.
So tell us, how do you think the coronavirus got started?
Oh, we really don't know how the coronavirus got started, but there's a lot of rumors about how it got started. Not that I want to chase rumors, but in Wuhan, where it started in China, there's the Wuhan Institute of Virology. So there were some reports that the virus accidentally came from that lab right there. There was some thoughts that some of the animals they're experimenting on got intermingled with the market. It's unsure. A lot of experts say, it's just a strain of flu strain of the common cold that mutated. The coronavirus is a regular coronavirus we've all had. About 1/3 of the causes of the common cold are a coronavirus. And actually, coronaviruses can mutate, and that's where you get like the MERS, the SARS, and those fatality rates can be up to 30% if you get those type of diseases, which we've heard about in the years past. But with the corona, I'm not belittling it. It's a 3%. Now, when you look at the United States, this year, over 30 million people had the flu, and almost 20,000 people died. With regard to the coronavirus, only about a little over 2,000 people have the coronavirus here in the United States. So if anyone asked me what would I be worried about right now, I'd be more worried about the flu than the coronavirus.
So you talked about the coronavirus and how could it mutate. Tell us about mutations and how do the viruses mutate? Was it 3 months, 6 months, or a year? How does that work?
Well, viruses have very limited either DNA or RNA strands which make up the virus. Viruses are very, very simple machines. They basically have a body and they have the DNA and RNA. The DNA and RNA gets injected into the cell, and the sole purpose of it is to make more viruses. So they spread during this process of injecting the DNA or RNA into the cell and replicating, it's an imperfect process. Errors occur with the replication and formation of new viruses. So if you're making millions of new viruses, 1 or 2 genetic mutations that are proven advantageous can cause a lot of problems. So that's why the CDC, the NIH says, we're not that far away from a massive pandemic, because any of these, flu-like viruses or cold-like viruses can mutate in a second, and boom, all of a sudden you have something that we can't stop. Now, hopefully the coronavirus isn't going to be like this, but the fear is that if it continues to spread, we may see more carnage and death. So we're completely being over precautious with this, as opposed to like 10 years ago, where we had, if you remember, Dow, we had that bird flu. I mean, more people died of that bird flu than more people even have with coronavirus. And you ask yourself why 10 years ago no one really cared about that, the avian or bird flu, but all of a sudden with this, it's like Armageddon's taking place. I don't have an answer for it. Maybe it's the media coverage, but the bird flu was worse 10 years ago than the coronavirus may ever be.
Okay. So tell us, I wanted to, we were talking on the phone a few days ago, and there were people that asking me in the different places, conspiracy theory, could this be a man-made virus that someone could use like BioWar, put this together and spread all over the world?
Listen, if someone asked me how I would make the worst virus that could spread, what you would do is you would mutate the most common virus out there, just the common cold or the common flu. And the common cold is basically the coronavirus. You can mutate that very easily and cause biologic warfare. It really doesn't take much. It really doesn't take. They'd be very simple mutations. We know these things spread easy. We know that just simply talking to someone or having any fluid come out of your mouth. When you talk, you have a lot of spit and saliva that you don't even know about, and it's transmitted that way. And where does the coronavirus affect? Your lungs. So when you breathe in, you breathe out. You got the virus, and that's why those viruses are so effective, because they can be easily transmitted, as opposed to like malaria, which has to go through like a vector, which we call the mosquito. This, you just breathe on someone and they're infected. Doesn't mean they'll get the condition, but they're exposed to it.
So we're looking at the government and seeing some of the things that they're doing. I mean, how do you feel that the president is handling this? The American government.
Well, the American government, the president actually, it's funny when you take a look at President Trump. A month ago, he said, "Well, this virus from Wuhan, not a good thing." So he said, we're putting a travel ban on China. And back then, when he said that, he was called a xenophobe. He was called all names. So he took multiple preemptive actions to help stop the spread here, and he was chastised for it. Looking back, that had some good foresight, and now his response with regard to his addresses are right on key. He's gotten some good advisors, and some of the politicians aren't playing politics. They're being preemptive. They're taking the president's lead and they're running with it. So as of right now, he's doing everything right. What can you do? We're fighting off the common cold. We don't even have a cure for the common cold. So we're doing our best. We'll see how this spreads. They say in China the numbers are down, but I'll be honest with you. Does anyone really believe that the numbers coming out of China?
So you were talking about your book, The New Reality, and how this coronavirus is basically similar to your book and some of the things you write about in your book. Tell us about the new reality.
Well, the new reality is based. Basically, it's like this story I wrote years ago in 2014. I basically bring up a virus, a simple virus that's already in our DNA. A lot of our DNA has old viruses. So what happens is, in my book, one of these old viruses get activated. And when they get activated, they spread. One or two mutations, that's all it takes. And once these viruses go, we really don't have effective treatments for viruses. Think how HIV ravaged the planet. Think of how a lot of other viruses like the Spanish flu ravaged the planet. We still don't have a cure for the Spanish flu. But in my book, it goes and explains how a simple virus could get out and spread, especially now. This is a global economy. People are flying to China. People are flying around the world. One person gets on the plane. Guess what? It's already around the world. It doesn't take much, and that's the basis of my book and sort of what the response is, and how I take it one step further, and I basically say, Europe's broke. A lot of our countries are in debt. So what if you have a huge financial crisis due to one of these viruses? Then we really have a problem because the banking system shuts down. And we saw what happens in Greece when they run out of money. Instead of people running for toilet paper, they're running for the ATMs. So my book goes one step further because, if they're shutting down businesses, guess what? People aren't getting paid.
Yeah, if you see what's happening in the NBA, Major League Baseball, you have soccer, you have different events that are that are shutting down. As a matter of fact, the Tom Mesereau event had to be shut down. A lot of things are shutting down, and it's serious because they talk about this never has happened before.
Right.
Where they have to shut down international flights. They're gonna if they shut down domestic flights, we don't know, but businesses closed. The professional sports are closing.
Yeah,
they're done. And schools are closed.
Yeah, my kids
all around the country.
My kids are home, and the thing about it is, and you live,
Colleges.
you live in Pennsylvania, Daryl. They're shutting down parts of Pennsylvania where only essential stores are allowed to be open. So hairdressers. So you want to go, you want to go to the gym, you want to go to yoga, you want to do anything other than buy food and go to the doctor. Guess what? You can't do it. So, all those people aren't making money. The economy gets hit. And we don't know how long this is going to last for. Just look at Italy. What's the effect on their economy? I don't know. We know Italy's broke. So how's that going to, what's going to happen?
Yeah. As a neurologist, doctor, how do you feel? Maybe you write about it in your book probably, and you know how the brain works. How do you feel when they talk about mass rioting, people angry, more frustrated? Do you feel that it happened? Knowing you worked on brains and dealing with people's emotions, what is that point when that happens?
It's called hysteria. And hysteria has already taken place. I was at Costco 2 days ago. I have a big family, so I go there once a week. They had police around Costco directing people in and out and preventing fighting. Not only that, there were shopping carts from the front of the building to the back of the building. People were not nice. People were grabbing things. Certain Costco's had fights. So just the mere thought that this could be bad. We're not even seeing breakdown of the financial services, breakdown of the health services. Nothing's broken down. And we're already seeing hysteria. And plus, people are buying up toilet paper like somehow, wiping your butt's going to keep the virus away. We're going to have the cleanest American butts in the world here.
Yeah. I was telling somebody, my uncle was telling me, they use, if they can't get toilet paper, they used to, when he was a kid, a rag and some bleach and clean the rag.
What are you going to do?
Well, listen, toilet paper, come on, toilet paper, really. But these are some of the things that people are talking about, and Costco's and some other places, you have police. I've talked to some police, Philadelphia police. I've talked to some other people around town, about they're worried about what happens if government shut down, what happens if business shut down, what happens, school systems, you're in Philadelphia. Parts of Philadelphia, what could happen? People are afraid. People are, they're seriously afraid of what could happen, and rightfully so. Rightfully so. They should be afraid. This is the first time in the history of, of America. I think in the past 75 years since 9/11, and also the Pearl Harbor, where you see something like that happen on not just a national but international scale.
Right, and that's what we're looking at here. I'm reading articles saying we're going to have to prepare like we did for World War II, expect mass casualties. De Blasio is talking about the prisoners making mass graves. So I think some of it's at least major hype. I don't think there's going to be mass graves with this, And I always joke. I said the only thing that's really contagious around some people is the stupidity, especially when they listen to de Blasio talk about mass graves that's going to be made. It reminds me of when my great-grandmother died of the Spanish flu in 1918. There were mass graves. There are millions of people dead. But this isn't the Spanish flu.
So in your book, the New Reality, what is the outcome of the book, the ending of, what happened after the book, after, a virus breaks out?
Well, the viruses, most of the time, the good news is viruses can resolve by themselves. It just doesn't matter how much death toll it's going to take on the planet. My book, what they did is they tried to find a cure. And finding the cure, it takes it one step further. That's when I add fiction into this true story. I talk about something called the Bible Code. And the Bible Code is a real code within the first 5 books of the Old Testament. And it's been mathematically proven. It mathematically showed, when you look at the Bible Code, the rise of Hitler. It shows Pearl Harbor. It shows Einstein, and all of these have been mathematically worked out. So what in my book is the quest to break the code to find out how to find a cure for this. But the problem is when the businesses are devastated, when the people are demoralized, when there's no economy going, it breaks down the system. So the end result was the breakdown of the system, the entire economic system in the planet. And you have people who come in and basically use a trauma like this to economically capitalize on a bad situation. So, my fear is because everyone's so economically in debt, every country, you do something like this to break the backbone of the country economically. I mean, where do you go? You have so much debt, you can't pay it off. The citizens, aren't making any money. So that's sort of the gist of my book, where health is one thing, but also economic health is another one. And we're seeing the economic impact starting already. So, my book outlines what happens when you get hit economically too, which it's on its way. I don't know how economic impact is going to be, but Daryl, think of all the moms and dads. Most households have 2 people working. A lot of people have young kids. Like, one person's not working now. So, so we're seeing that even if all businesses are closed, people aren't going to work. I know some of my colleagues are saying, "Hey, I have to be home with my kids." So we're losing work time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, we talk about the economics in our system. The Federal Reserve gave the Wall Street $1.5 trillion. And worry about who pays that back.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, we do as Americans. Well, listen, Steve. I'd like to thank you for coming on. This is Dr. Stephen Martino out of New Jersey. He has a book called he has 3 books. The New Reality, and then there's the Final Reality. But there's a book.
The Hidden Reality. So the New Reality is about a virus like the coronavirus coming out and what to expect.
And then there's the Hidden Reality.
And then there's the Final Reality.
Final Reality. So where can you get the books?
You can get them on Amazon. That's probably the easiest spot you can go. Go on Amazon, iBooks, and get them either place, or you can actually go on barnesandnobles.com too.
Yeah. Well, thank you for coming on the show. I went to Amazon. I tried to get on Amazon to get my, crossbow. So I had to we had to drive to Dallas.
That's where people are going to get toilet paper. You can't get toilet paper anymore. People are getting it from Amazon Prime, having toilet paper delivered to your house. I mean, how ridiculous is that?
Don't worry, I got hand wraps. I have to get a toilet paper.
I have old socks.
Old socks, yes. Just make sure you have bleach and hot water. All right, thank you, Steve Martino, Dr. Stephen Martino out of New Jersey. Matter of fact, some people are waiting to see this show because there were some of your patients that sent me a text. I don't know if you saw that on the messenger saying that you're the doctor.
Funny.
So it's good. Yeah, this is interesting. All right, Steve, thank you for coming on. This is the On Fire Show with the host Daryl Brooks. This is Steve, Dr. Steve Martino of the books, The New Reality, The Hidden Reality, and The Final Reality. You can get those books at Amazon. You can go get them at barnesandnobles.com, amazon.com, barnesandnobles.com, and just Google the name Hidden Reality, New Reality, and The Final Reality. All right, Steve. Thank you for coming on. God bless. Be safe. Tell your family I say hi.
You too.
Peace.
Thank you, Daryl.
All right. Bye.
Easy.